Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Beacons Are Lit, a Lord of the Rings podcast. I'm the host, Mike Marbach, and today I'm joined by Matt Garin.
Howdy ho.
Stacey Lyons.
What's up?
And Kelly Conrad.
Hey there.
Yes, the Fellowship has joined here once again to discuss The Rings of Power, Season 1, Episode 7, the penultimate episode, titled The Eye.
No idea.
Ooh.
It may seem like I was leaving a dramatic pause or leaving room for you to speak, but I really forgot what I was doing next.
I can see that. I was just covering.
And what next is go to iTunes, rate and review. Let us know that you're listening. Go to Spotify and throw some stars up. And we had somebody do that. And we also had somebody email us. Once again, somebody we'll say, you know what? I don't know that we've used this term on the podcast before. Let's say friend of the podcast, Emily R., who has written before, Spotify listener, who has written about Spotify before not being able to rate, leading to our online podcast tutorial from Stacey on how to rate on Spotify.
Right. Follow my YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button.
Yes. So from Emily, we have, hi, Mike and Fellowship. I just watched Rings of Power episode 6 and cannot wait to hear your commentary on it. I was feeling pretty lackluster about the Southland storyline during most of the episode and really grossed out by the eye stabbing. But all of that was totally wiped away by the very ending. Wow. I can't stop thinking about it. I was not expecting the volcano to erupt in Mordor as we know it to begin forming so soon. The show doesn't give me the desire to rewatch like Lord of the Rings does, but maybe that will change. The end of episode 6 does give me hope, and I can't wait to see how the harfoots react to the eruption. Anyway, I'm looking forward to tuning in soon, and thanks to Kelly or Stacey, I can't remember who explained how to rate on Spotify. 5 out of 5 stars, Emily.
Great
Stacey,
work.
you got a shout out.
Emily,
Excellent.
my girl. You are not wrong about any of the things that you just wrote.
So, Julie, thank you,
fair.
but sorry, she's never going to hear this after listening to our underwhelming response to the volcano blowing up in last episode. She's not listening to this podcast anymore. But if you are, Julie, thank you. That's so nice.
Emily or Julie? I thought Emily.
Emily. It is
Emily.
Why did I say Julie? I don't
I'm
know.
not sure.
Sorry.
Who the heck is Julie, Matt?
Julie,
Wow.
if you are out there, send us an email at beacons@xroadscomedy.com. And Julie, let us know what you think of the show. Thank you, Julie, and thank you, Emily.
Emily, it was such a well-written review. Very thoughtful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with all that, as Mike would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would say that. All right. So first impressions, Matt.
There's hope, guys. There's hope. I think. I don't know. I'm giving it maybe more than I need to, maybe more than it deserves. But we got a new segment. I got a new segment pitch. It's called "Guess Which Part Made Matt Tear Up," and that game will play this episode.
Ooh.
And that's great. I mean, it's not super hard to do, but it makes me. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm invested in something in this show.
I'm going to guess right now that it was when it said Southlands and then got erased and said Mordor.
Do not even get me started. Do not even get me started on that.
Kelly, first impression.
That's not to say I'm not without my many complaints. But there is hope. There is delicious hope.
Sure. Kelly, what do you got?
Keep it short. Mixed feelings. There were parts of this episode that I thought were really strong. And then there were parts that were some of the worst things I've ever seen on TV. So mixed.
Sounds mixed.
Super
Sure.
mixed.
Stacey.
I'm kind of leaning more towards, I guess I'm again right in the middle of YouTube, but leaning towards more what Matt said. I've been so kind of negative and critical on this podcast. And even then when I'm watching, I'm having a good time. And I feel like I'm finding a lot of meaning in it. And I just think it's one of those shows that kind of sneaks up on you a little bit. Like even despite its flaws, like I am finding things to really enjoy, not in spite of myself, but like I'm surprising myself with how I'm feeling. And in particular, I thought this episode was very heavy, like just so much about it. Like there was like a weight to it, not just in content, but like the smoke and the way people were moving and walking. It felt it was like a slog, not in a bad way.
Sure. I really enjoyed the episode. Do have issues with it. I thought it was visually very cool to look at, and after reading some things, a lot of that was natural and set design and things like that. With I'm sure a healthy amount of CGI thrown in for good measure. I thought the storylines starting to come together, like you see the volcano is reaching where the Southlands are, and different things where they're going to the edges of Gondor coming up. So some things are happening. The people that have, and if there's anybody that has not seen Lord of the Rings or read the books, you maybe don't know. This episode sucked. It's terrible. No, they might enjoy it more and be a little bit more on the edge of their seat, like, oh no, poor Isildur. But we know, of course, that there's certain characters have. Yeah. Oh no! What? Certain characters have plot armor throughout this show, which I think they're doing a decent job of showing the journey of how we got there. We've talked before on this podcast about the perils of prequel and how do you make this interesting? We know how everything turns out, and I've been saying that it's about the journey. So I've enjoyed seeing the journey of Galadriel getting to where she ends up, and Isildur and Elendil and all these people. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed the episode. That was a long way of saying that. All right, so let's go to the Harfoots. I think, Stacey, you were about to say something when I interrupted with those first impressions.
Take it away, Stacey.
Here I go. Here are my prepared remarks. I don't remember. I think I was just saying "hoof" because what a tough time for these Harfoots. When they showed up and the grove was burnt, and then again when they collected all these apples and they all caught on fire, and they just were wailing. It was just so sad. Yeah. It's just like a very sad time for these Harfoots.
They were all out of the carts and buggies or whatever they are at this point, right? Like nobody was in those things. No one's like, I don't think anyone alive.
It was just like their harvest, their grove, the fruit of the loom.
Their Hanes.
I was going to say, isn't that a panty company?
Panties.
I don't know. It had a lot of fruit. It was like their harvest, like what they had trudged all this way for. They just one thing after another for them. They just finally got there. They didn't think they would. I don't think they lost anyone, even though they almost did. And then this happens.
That was the end destination. I kind of missed it.
Going to the grove.
I don't. No, I think it's to collect and then continue their journey. I don't know that that's the end of their journey.
I thought it was like she explained it like in the summer we go here, in the fall we go here, and this was their season to be in the grove to collect all the fruit, like the apples, which kind of makes sense, like it's fall. And then once they did that, then they would move to like their winter location. So like I have a feeling they spend like 8 to 12 weeks in like each place.
Yeah, I think that's fine, and they're clearly close by. Although the volcanoes shot the lava rocks pretty damn far. That's one issue that I had with this episode. And now, not all volcanoes have the pyroclastic flow, which is deadly poisonous gas, which would eviscerate pretty much anything in its path biologically.
I love addressing the reality of volcano eruptions in a fantasy show. Like it's like, we don't have to, like, it's fine. Like, let's just,
I'm going to,
I mean, like for people that are actually concerned about this stuff, like forget it.
For those of you who aren't volcanologists, Mike has got you covered. This is Mike's segment, how volcanoes work.
Well,
I'm here for
volcanoes, it. Not all volcanoes have that. So it's very easy for me to get over it. But I would have liked to have seen a little bit more destruction from that. We saw a lot of smoke. We saw Tumnal, I can't remember his name, Otto, the other soldier.
The curly-haired lad.
Yeah, I can't remember the name.
I was thinking it was like Oculus. What was his name?
Something like that. But we saw him, but there was a lot of people there. And we'll get to a little bit more when we're talking about that storyline, but I still don't understand how so many people got separated. Like Galadriel and Theo, how did that happen?
How did anybody win?
Doing?
How did anybody live through this? No one should have lived through this.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
volcanoes have the pyroclastic flow.
Yeah, but still.
Not all of them. Not all of them. So.
But this one did.
I think it might have.
It might have.
No, it absolutely did. That's what swept through the whole. That's what swept through.
Well, it could also be what makes up that particular flow. The pyroclastic flow is the deadly poisonous gases and everything. This could have just been air and whatnot that was forced down and pushed through.
If you are that close, just physically that close to an exploding lava rock, your skin would melt. Fantasy or real, that's just how lava works.
Fantasy, where the rules are made up.
This is the rules of lava.
Yeah. Well, here's to Matt, to your point. You brought it up twice, so I'm going to address it right here, right now. And that is, I can get over flying dragons, crawling dragons, magic, all of that shit. But there are certain things that they've made no attempt to talk about in some fantasy shows that geologically, which are, to me, universally understood things. So that's all. Is what I'm getting at there is if something geologically comes up, I'm gonna
you're not
call
wrong,
it out.
I suppose. But
thank you. I appreciate the suppose.
You're not wrong, I suppose. No, I think it's a valid point. I guess yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to, for my own sake and my own enjoyment of this show, get past a lot of basic flaws that I have with.
I've swept a ton of shit, as you all know, under the rug, to the point where under the rug is becoming its own Mount Doom.
Yeah.
But so I can totally get past that and enjoy it, even without the added thought of well, maybe this one didn't have it. So I'm good to move on. But yeah, so this area has been touched by the destruction, the eruption of Mount Doom.
Only the trees that
Only
they needed. Only what they needed have been touched.
I'm still so in for like the Harfoot and Stranger stuff for the most part. Mm-hmm. And the volcano landing on all their stuff really sparked an idea that it made me wish that this show up until this point was all Harfoots and Elrond and the dwarves, because I think the mystery in putting myself in like the eyes of the Harfoots, like giving myself the Harfoots perspective of like, oh, this volcano eruption only happens when new evil has arisen. The mystery of that from their perspective is more interesting than what I know is going on over in the Southlands and with Galadriel and Arondir. And I almost wish that the show up until this point was just the Harfoots and Elrond and dwarves, because these are the most interesting and most Lord of the Ringsy vibey feeling plot lines I think that the show has to offer. Sure. And that slow crawl into then discovering what Galadriel's been up to, and we could do like a flashback episodes or something like. I don't know. I'm not trying to restructure. I guess I am trying to restructure the whole show, because my basic problem with this show is that it's so poorly structured. And
it just started filming, so you might have an impact. They might be listening, and we might see some of your suggestions, your notes in season 2. Never know. We had the cult folks, the cult of Sauron or the cult of Morgoth show back up, and they got powers. They are sorcerers in their own right.
They have almost too many powers.
I don't care.
They got 2.
It seems like they are too powerful, and I got to tell you, I don't love an enemy that is too strong. I like to know I have a fighting chance.
I don't like their look, and I don't like the performances that I'm seeing out of the main person, who's just giving me mostly eyebrow acting, which is the worst villain kind of stuff. And I just don't like the appearance of them. And they're I don't know. That's all I have to say about them.
I hate them. Next.
I hate them. Next.
I'm all right with their look. I'm all right with their. Let me rephrase that. I can get past their look. I can get past them as characters. I want some answers, and we're going into the final episode, and I hope that we get some answers to some of the things, to the at least teases of answers to the mysteries of this show. Because as you pointed out, like, we know what's going on. We know the end result for some of these characters. It's nice to see the journey most of the time. But I want to know who these people are. Are they followers of Morgoth? Are they immortal beings that were around at that time? Like, all of these things would be helpful to know. Like, what do they want with the stranger? Because that's all we know about them right now, is that we don't even know that so much as we're just drawing that conclusion. That hasn't been strictly stated.
Why is Nori talking to them? Honey.
Yeah. Well, she's trying to protect her friend.
I forgot about that. All right. I guess I'm not all in on the Harfoots, because that was a really frustrating decision where Nori just went out and spoke to them to misdirect.
Yeah.
That's very...
They went that a ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very... I mean, I know that these are like our proto-hobbits, but that's very un-hobbit, right? Like, to be so... But granted, she's like, what, the proto-Frodo or whatever.
Frodo.
Like,
Frodo.
she's the proto-Frodo.
Okay.
So she's emboldened in some way, but yeah, that was annoying.
Threw out the window a little bit of her character development that we've been watching for the past like 9 episodes.
Literally the moment before when she was like, I guess I'm nothing but a Harfoot. You were right all along, Mom, or whatever. Like, she was like, you're right. I should have listened to you. And then she is not listening to her parents.
It would have just been more of a stronger character choice, like for the journey that she's been on specifically. If she saw them and then was like, I'm going after him, who's coming with me, without talking to them. Yeah. Like that didn't need to happen.
This was okay. Her going out was definitely okay with me. As Stacey said, I think it was in line with her growing character. Yes, there was the moment where she said, all right, fine, I guess I'm just a fucking hobbit. That's what I'll be. That's all I'm ever going to be, is a Harfoot, whatever. And then she saw how much good that the stranger had done for their entire clan. And then was basically essentially kicked out. So she wanted to stand up for him. Have a little Samwise the Brave moment.
Yeah, I think I'm with Stacey's like move of how she should have stood up for him. Like, I'm okay with that character turn, I guess, but more of like, but like, she just ran out and exposed everybody.
Like, she just learned that some people have powers that she doesn't understand. So she should have just been like, oh shit, these people are after him. I'm going to get my gang together. I'm going to go after him and try to use my Harfoot sneakiness to get by these people and save my friend. But like, she didn't need to try to do like they went that away move. I don't know. It felt,
which I don't think they bought. I think they still went in the right direction.
Yeah, it's like clearly you're trying to redirect us.
Yeah, we know what's going. And he's saying that
we're magical.
yeah. They're over there like sniffing leaves to know where this guy's going, and they're just going to be like, "Oh, but she said other way." All right. And they picked some of her hair trash. What's that about?
Oh yeah, they just took like an acorn. Yeah. Kelly's favorite accessory in this strip.
They're probably just like, what the fuck is in your hair?
You got something. Yeah, that's all.
Are a mess, sweetie.
You have trash in your hair.
Yeah. Turns around real fast. Hey, I'm just trying to help you. Just trying to help you out. But of course, got to say that all in eyebrows.
Kelly, thus far, have we seen any of the worst moments in TV history that you've seen?
No.
Oh, I can't wait.
But we've already brought it up.
There was a fair amount of singing in this too.
Mordor.
That's the pyroclastic flow.
No, I was okay with the flow, and I do think that was pyroclastic flow. I'm not in Mike's school of it might not have been.
I can't believe this is the dividing line.
My school of just wanting to get past it. Yeah.
There's like, even if that wasn't technically pyroclastic flow, the speed and the temperature would have killed them anyway.
I believe that.
Oh,
100%. Cool. Yeah.
Volcano Twitter had erupted after this episode. It was a strong divide.
Stacey, we got to give you the hook on that one.
All right, I'll just see myself out.
Yeah. What else is going on in this one? Yeah, a fair amount of singing from them throughout this, which, all right, we get it.
Who's singing?
Poppy's always singing.
Poppy was singing throughout that. There was the moment which leads me to believe that in episode 8, and we're recording this on Thursday, it comes out in a few hours. I'm pretty sure, I'm going to stone cold lock it in here, right now. We're going to see some Ents. We're going to see some
Mike's
Ents.
locked in.
Locked in.
Episode 9. You heard it.
Episode 8.
So, Mike, may I ask, I don't mean to jump ahead, but do you think we're going to see Balrog in episode 8?
I will save that for the Khazad-dûm discussion.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I don't. I don't think we're going to. All right. So other things within this one. Yeah. Why I think the Ents are coming is because they had that little discussion there where Sadek was talking to one of the other ones. It said, what's he whispering? Oh, it's probably just like some tree stuff. Why? Trees can't talk. Oh, some can though. Some can. Sadek's doing his Robert De Niro.
Yeah. Some can. I can't do a Robert De Niro.
A little bit. Some do. A little bit.
Pretty good.
They talk a little bit. All right, let's move on unless you have more Harfoots. All right. So let's go to Khazad-dûm.
I like the prediction. That's all I'll say.
To Khazad-dûm.
I think my prediction's the opposite. I think no Ents, yes, Balrog.
Yeah. The Ents thing is what leads me to believe that, well, actually, this is not, we didn't actually talk about this. They went after the stranger, 4 of them, Sadek, the mom, dad, or a few of them, Poppy and Nori went after
Poppy,
him. And they
ride
said
or die.
Said something about going into that forest. So with those two things, 1 + 1 = Ents, is what I'm saying. So yes, Khazad-dûm.
Khazad-dûm.
More like Khazad-dûn with that Balrog waking up. Am I right, guys?
You are right, Stacey.
I just thought of that one. I'm a fire.
So
tonight.
to the Balrog points, I thought that was a little. I liked seeing it, but I thought the way in which it was done was a little ridiculous.
The leaf?
Like,
are you talking about the leaf?
Is he a light sleeper? Was he up the whole time anyway? Is he just hanging out down there?
New. He senses something
Did
new.
he just clean his house?
I thought the same thing. I'm like, leaves are the quietest thing you could have picked to fall down that shaft.
Why did you all think it was? This is funny. Wait, why do you immediately assume that it's sound-based and that he's waking up from it? To me, it just felt like either A, just a way to cinematically reveal it, or B, Balrog did wake up, but because he sensed something of good magic, of elven magic or something like that, which he wouldn't have sensed in like thousands of years.
But
So
isn't Mithril elven magic? Wasn't he surrounded by Mithril? Wouldn't that have also been the same kind of vibe as that leaf?
Which could be what's holding him down there.
Not because the leaf dies without it, so maybe it's not like elven magic, but maybe it's just like not, stuff that hasn't been down in the,
Keep going, Matt.
depths of the
No.
earth.
Like nature. Like it's like fresh nature.
We're talking about leaves. We're talking about nature. I don't know. When I say it's that crazy. It's something that he hasn't seen in thousands of years. Or
Gaslighting Matt into thinking he's
But as a
insane.
magical being,
He got me with
something makes sense.
volcanoes.
Well, I guess I'm more in Matt's train. Is that a saying? Like I'm in Matt's train where like I didn't necessarily it just seemed like a cheesy way to like reveal the Balrog.
If it was sense-based and not like touch-based, they could have done it so
Hang
much
on.
better. It was so suddenly
That's
done.
second theory, though. First theory, which I think Kelly is on board with, is it's just a way to reveal the Balrogs down there. And really the two are unrelated, but the leaf is just a means to get us visually down into.
Well, then they filmed it incorrect.
Sure,
Because the way they filmed it, it was like a leaf fell and he was like, this woke me up.
Yeah.
So it could have fallen and he could have like been in a slumber and been like, and then woken up. But he like immediately hopped to attention, and it just felt like, oh, well,
Did we see him wake up, or did we see him just appear from darkness?
I think he appeared from darkness. Although I would have loved to have seen him woke up from a nap. Like,
listen, if that's what I saw,
stretching.
If that's what I saw, this is a great ending to that. I saw him appear out of a dark, hazy fog.
Wakes up. He's like, "What time is it? What is that? What's
he had
that
a little
on the floor?
How long have I been out?
On his little fire hair is just a little
little nightcap.
He's got a little nightgown on. He gives a little kind of pat.
He has a robe made of fire.
A book face down next to him.
He has his eye mask like propped on his forehead.
To be clear, I 100% agree with the fact that this was a cheesy way to reveal the Balrog, and I enjoyed it. But I don't think it's ridiculous or incorrect to say that the means with which they did that was a leaf falling, and it very well could have been a disturbance to him, whether that is, like Matt is saying, an elven magic sort of thing, or like Stacey is saying, a sound-based sort of thing. A leaf disturbed.
Anyone else hear that leaf drop?
I mean, actually, that's actually not crazy in the sense that down deep, it is insanely quiet, and you can't, like, if you're in like deep caves, you can hear like
the rocks are rumbling all the time. All the time.
It sounded pretty quiet when we got down there.
Oh my God. No.
See,
I will say the Balrog looked cool, and I'm happy that it looked like the 100%. Balrog from Lord
And what I'm saying is that this show is perfect.
I mean, it doesn't seem like they changed the Balrog really at all. They really like kept the Jackson Balrog. I feel like my issue with sound is that the Balrog itself makes so much noise. So like just him being on fire is very billowy and it's just noisy. So I'm like, I don't know what you hear down there. You're so loud.
When his alarm goes off. It's gonna be
the fact that we even have to discuss what they meant by that scene means that it was badly done.
It was like poorly executed for sure.
But I'm now all in. I want to see more Balrog. So
yeah, I also think the average viewer probably doesn't think anything of it. Yeah. It's like, oh, cool, Balrog.
They're
probably like, oh, cool, fire monsters. Probably more.
This is just another instance.
Oh, cool, fire giant.
All having 4 wildly different opinions about the minutia of a show we all kind of like.
Yes. So other things within Khazad-dûm, the main conflict in this storyline here remains elves want Mithril. King Durin III doesn't want to give it up. Durin IV is like, yeah, we gotta help him. And then Durin III is like, no, we're not helping him. Don't you fucking dare. So then they go and start to help him anyway, looking for it. And then they get busted. And Elrond gets Jazzy Jeffed out of Khazad-dûm. And then they have that moment where they, have that little mithril nugget, toss it over to the aforementioned controversial leaf. And it begins to come back to life, which it prompts Disa and Durin to grab Elrond, come back again, and then it leads to a big blow up with the Durins.
With Daddy Durin.
Daddy Durin
and
Lord Father Daddy Durin.
Yeah.
There's so much daddy talk on this.
So much father son stuff.
There is so, and I just I was talking to someone about the show, and they brought up, they're like, oh, a lot of daddy issues in this show. And I was like, holy shit, you're so right. There is so much father-son content in this show.
We talked about that a little bit when Elrond's like, if I could just like fight with my dad, talk to my dad like one more time. But they went heavy on it this episode with Durin saying the most, like, the proudest thing you can ever do is be worthy of wearing your father's name. And then at the end, his dad makes him take it off. And you're like, this is just so, again, heavy. It's like a heavy moment.
Yeah, that thing comes off so easy.
Super easy.
Pull it right off.
Yoink.
And then just clanks on the ground.
It's like not like that permanent jewelry people are doing
What
now,
was
where they
that
like
thing
welding
again?
things.
That didn't land on me because I didn't remember what the collar
I think it's just his,
like a nameplate.
like I'm an heir.
Oh,
Is
okay.
I'm the
We
heir
didn't-
to the
wait,
kingdom,
so
more
we
or
didn't
less.
see that. We didn't see like the setup of that before in another episode.
Just the
I don't think
line of
so.
him I wear my father's name or something
Okay.
Yeah.
like that.
I thought
I
missed
think.
it. All right.
So within I agree with others that have said it that this is one of my favorite storylines, like favorite locations to be. But even this has its kind of annoyances. Not just the Balrog, but last episode they were all kind of lovey-dovey. And this episode, he's so quick to just be like, "You're not my son," kind of like stuff, which is annoying. So the same deal with the harfoots are all over the place with whether or not they give a shit about each other.
Yeah.
Everybody's single file, nobody left behind, whatever the hell they were chanting.
I think
And then they're even in this one. I can't. Where the hell is it? They said something. I think it was as they were going to leave. Like, yeah, we stand by each other. Even the toughest of times, we're there. Like, no, you're not. You're literally not. You were going to leave the people that you're now going to follow. So it's just weird.
I have more of a problem with it with the Harfoots than I do with Daddy Durin and Son Durin, because I just feel like father, son, I mean, people fight, and I just assume that they assume they'll make up at some point. But like Harfoots, it's like a legit life or death.
But
Get to the back of the line.
I think maybe a recurring issue with the show in both those instances is like surrendering character development to plot, like, and just being like, oh, we need to have Daddy Durin mad at Son Durin, so that he has to be super mad at him. But also my problem with Daddy Durin is that like we've been given very little reason, at least in my memory, to understand why he's a great king to begin with, and like why him and Son Durin have ever really been close or friends, because it feels like we've only seen them really have head-to-head battles, and Daddy Durin seems like such a dickhead. Like, and I'm just like, wait, why has this guy ever been good? And like, why was Prince Durin even like, why is this the first conflict that really feels like that they're like really having at a severe level? If he was this big of a dickhead for a while, it seems like we would have had this conflict before, maybe. But
I think it's the
just give me a reason to
arrival.
like him. Just give me a reason more to have a heart with.
I wish we would have seen. I'm sorry. I wish we would have seen much more of that. But I think it is just the arrival of Elrond and his connection to Elrond, Son Durin's connection to Elrond, that is now coming between them. It's this person that has come between him. He even invoked his mother's name, which set off his dad. And it's making him, his dad, seem like he's choosing, and even says something like that, the elves over his own people, because he is insistent on the fact that if we keep, I'm telling you, I just got a very bad feeling about this. If we keep digging, something bad's going to happen. And he's like, no, I want to dig, Dad.
Well, he keeps his dad's reasoning is like, I don't want to lose more men, because we had already seen that rock slide. It just is like one of those things where it's like, why isn't he just like, if the elves want it, they can mine it. We're not going to mine it. I mean, I get that in the end of the day, like the Balrog would attack the dwarves regardless. But if it was just a matter of like, I don't want to lose men to rock slides, just be like, look, if the elves want it, they can come get it. You can help them if you want.
I thought that too, but then I was like, oh wait, they live there though. Like this is their kingdom.
That's true. If like rocks start falling in like their houses, it's true. It's true. It's true. I don't think his dad's wrong. I mean, like you obviously want to save an entire race, and you want to be the people that do that and be selfless enough to do it. But like, he is the king of this kingdom. He has the responsibility to protect it.
What I like about this like conflict so much, though, this larger conflict with Durin and Elrond and Son Durin and Elrond and the elves and the dwarves, is that like everybody's kind of right. Everybody's kind of doing what they're supposed to do. Like the friends are being friends to each other, and the father is being more of a king than a father and stuff. It's the emotional Daddy Durin, Son Durin stuff that falls a little bit short for me, but the larger conflict around the elves and the dwarves, I was so invested in. And, Daddy Durin issues.
And I do think that another reason this storyline is so successful is because baby Durin, Son Durin, is such a such an emotional character that I think he is kind of the character that you relate to the most because he's so expressive. And so he is like kind of the heart of the show in that way.
Yeah, him and Nori. I was just going to say that are the hearts.
I think Elrond though too, and I think the Son Durin and Elrond too are just giving like I think the best performances in the show. I watch these scenes and I'm like, I forget that I'm watching a show that I don't enjoy a lot of, and I'm just like, I'm so in it. It feels like Lord of the Rings. I'm like astounded by the performances and invested in the dialogue exchange. And this is the plot line where this is for the Matt got misty-eyed segment. This is where it happened in this plot line here.
Was it I feel Daddy Durin and Baby Durin turmoil?
No, it was Elrond and Baby Durin. Their conversation when Baby Durin has to say help
goodbye,
you.
Sorry.
And it's like we don't say goodbye, we say Nadaria or something.
Oh yeah, that was a really, really wonderful moment.
I was like, oh, go towards goodness.
Yeah.
That was really good.
I mean, I felt the same way about Disa and Durin. I feel like their chemistry is good. She's hitting all like the marks of like criticizing each other's parents, like just like the passion and the energy that they have as like a married couple. I just like so here for it.
Well, and it's the first couple that we're really seeing interact at this level. Like all other partners, I feel like we see is for like a fleeting moment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or it's cool to get that dynamic.
Up or like not working together all the time. Like,
or you think they're dead, like Galadriel and Celeborn.
Yeah. Talk about that. So Disa is blaming the king for everything. It's not your fault. And he's like, well, whose fault is it? It's fucking dad's fault.
Your dad's.
It's his fault. He's too old. He's set in his old ways. He's going to leave your friend and his whole race out to dry. Not understanding one simple fact is that we are going to rule not just this mountain, but every fucking mountain within eyesight. And he just keeps forgetting that fact. Not so-and-so down the street, not, someone next mountain over, not your brother, us. Don't forget that. And she's like really doing such a great job of like drilling and selling those lines and making me wonder like how this really does play out. Like we know that the Balrog is Durin's bane. I'm not positive which Durin. It's probably Durin the fourth, the son. But it still makes me like wonder what's going on here. It is great storyline.
Anytime there's a very strong like wife character who's kind of heavily motivating the husband, I always think of that line in My Big Fat Greek Wedding when I think it's the mom who goes, the man is the head, but the woman is the neck, and she can turn the head in any way she wants. And I'm like, oh, you see that like time and time again.
We talking Lady Macbeth? Is that what we're talking about?
Oh, Lady Macbeth was probably like the very evil archetype of that of that character, but yeah, definitely Lady M, Lady Mac.
Now Lady Dees.
Much chiller, less murdery.
Quick moments I enjoyed from this is one was just mentioned, I believe. But yeah, we don't say goodbye. We say Namarie, which is go toward goodness, which I kind of liked. Which is the second line of good that I enjoyed from this line. The Harfoots actually had one. What good is living if we aren't like living good? Something along those lines. Too. Yeah.
It was like get busy living.
Put that on a pillow. Get busy living.
What was it, Mike? If you ain't living good, why you living good? What is it?
That's it.
Yeah, you got it. Just put that on a bumper sticker and you're ready to go, Kelly.
Oh, I really want you to repeat it.
Why? You just did.
Was that it?
If you're not,
what's the point of good living if you ain't living good?
I think that's
I don't really like that at all. But we can.
It is. What's the good of living?
We'll let it there.
If we aren't living good, is what it
they
is.
Say living good.
Uh-huh.
What's the good of living if we aren't living good?
Okay, what's the good of living good?
It's whatever. The Scottish accent that helps it, really.
Got it. Oh, okay. So that was the
It's whimsical.
Sita and Durin saying that. I thought that was the Harfoots saying.
No,
That was the Harfoots.
Oh, it was.
Matt doesn't know Scottish accents.
Yeah, that was
This has come up time and time again. This comes up all the
I
time.
did the accent and it sounded better.
Yeah.
I didn't do it.
So real quick, just a recap of this is
Irish.
about the good quotes. Welcome to the good quotes. Is what's the good of living if we aren't living good? And that is the Harfoots. That's one of the, I can't remember. I think the name begins with a V, Valia, something like that.
Something.
From the Harfoots. And then the good quotes from this is we don't say goodbye. We say Namarie, which is go toward goodness from Elrond and Durin the Fourth. And one other quick moment that I enjoyed from that storyline before we move on is when we do see that he tosses that mithril dice over to the leaf, and it starts coming to life. And you see him like start to well up, and you see them look at each other. He's like, Elrond.
I was just happy the hypothesis was proven true before they started mining, because I was like, this is so much work on a hunch.
Yeah.
And I was glad that.
Yeah.
I was glad that for the visual.
I liked the visual, but I kind of wish it was a decision based more on belief. I thought that would have been a more narrative, interesting choice.
Yeah. I still don't understand what's supposed to happen, because Elrond's been carrying that around. Has he gotten like super healthy?
I said the same thing. I was like, Elrond is glowing right now.
He's juiced up.
He just got a new moisturizer.
Yeah, they should have put a line in at the beginning being like, Elrond being like, oh, I'm feeling stronger than ever this morning. And then
he just keeps getting younger and younger until like episode 8 is a baby.
He Benjamin Buttons.
I'm so into this actor though. Like,
yeah,
I told you guys in Slack, he was in Mindhunter. He's insanely good. I don't know I still don't even know his name, but I'm like, this guy and everything. Great.
So
I want to keep him at a distance and admire him greatly.
Care enough to look anything up.
I don't want to like him too much.
I don't want to get all infatuated.
Don't meet your heroes, Matt. Don't meet your heroes.
I don't want to Google anybody anymore.
Don't Google anybody.
Yeah. Robert Aramayo is his name. So let's go to, excuse me, this, oh, geez. Hang on.
Seltzer break.
Let's go to the Southlands, or shall I say Mordor, where a lot is happening, but not really happening. It's basically all just aftermath. We already talked about the non-existent pyroclastic flow / huge debris flow that should have wiped everything out. I want to skip to how Galadriel and Theo got separated from everybody else.
First of all, I just want to say they're trudging through this ashen land, and nowhere has Theo been walking more like he has a shit in his pants than in this episode. I legitimately thought the volcano made him shit his pants. I cannot stand the way he just flops his body about. And I just had to say that for the record.
Theo, did you?
I'm based on Kelly's face and demeanor when we started this segment, I'm just going to surrender my time to so I yield to the floor.
Oh, to me, no. I was just making that face to Mike, just not accepting that it's a pyroclastic flow.
What did I do? I opened up a can of worms. Oh, never mind. I take my time back.
No, you gave it to me already, Matt. You gave it to me. Here I am. I have the time now.
You brought this on yourself and me.
No, I was just like, you're like, pyroclastic flow, or it was a jumble of debris and heat and wind and dangerous chemicals. It's like, it's a pyroclastic flow.
I
what it would normally do in real life, which is fine.
Because it's a fantasy and they needed those characters to survive.
I get it.
An episode that looks like the best action sequence in the movie Bloodshot, which maybe 3 people have seen, with Vin Diesel, that came out like 3 years ago.
Oh, I did. That was like one of the last movies released before everything shut down.
Yeah, I think I saw it in February of 2020, right before everything shut down.
Yeah. Same.
Anyway, there's a scene in that's all lit in red, and like fire extinguisher dust and stuff. It looks not exactly, but it looks very much like the volcano.
I think if you look closer, you'll see Vin Diesel in this.
I did. Yeah,
He's wandering around, and Galadriel's like, "What's going on here?"
I did.
As mad as you guys are about this pyroclastic flow, will they or won't they? I am equally as mad at Theo this whole episode. I just couldn't stand him. But at the same time, like Matt, I didn't hate him as much as you hated him until this episode. At the same time, I think he brought out one of what I thought was the more interesting part of Galadriel.
100%.
I thought she was shining in this episode. Yeah. And it was like all because she was working off this nobody. But I'm like, she did a great job. So I can't hate him. I can't hate these scenes, but I just couldn't stand Theo.
Galadriel's good lines, I feel like.
Yes. Her dialogue, she had some really, really good dialogue in this episode.
Like Lord of the Rings shit, just about the nature of good and wisdom and being wise.
And like delivered really, really well.
Her demeanor fit, like her, just like that kind of like, I don't even know what it was. Well, whatever she's been acting this whole episode, it fit perfectly in this like ashen wasteland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think, being the one kind of responsible for bringing all of these people into this situation that they somehow knew about, but didn't know about, is on her shoulders. So I think we're seeing her finally feel some humility. And I agree. I thought this was Galadriel's most dynamic episode yet, because up until this episode, she was like just angry, frustrated, and kind of seeing red.
Yeah, it was a real interesting pairing. So I do agree, Stacey, that it brought out a lot of great things from Galadriel that other characters paired with her probably would not have done. The things about the dark thoughts. You saw her have plenty of dark thoughts in that last episode. She's like, "I'm gonna kill all you fucking orcs." And in this one, she's like, "You gotta let it go." Because like I think Kelly was just saying, she was brought down a couple pegs here, and she has a lot of deaths now on her hands, more or less. I mean, they all made adult decisions to make the journey, so it's not 100% on her, but they did so at her request.
Do not take the weight of the day on your shoulders. You might find it difficult to put down. I think.
I thought that was great.
And her talking about her past, I just feel like she can do that with a kid more than she can do that with like a peer. It's just such a vulnerable thing to do. And, the only other person she's really talked to in depth is like the Queen and Halbrand, and they're like mission related and like one-upsmanship, but she can just kind of talk to Theo in a way that she can't really talk to anyone else. And just like that stuff about like her marriage, didn't see that coming up in this episode. And I was really happy it did.
Yeah. And Celeborn is dead in this, which I would put that in big quotes, because Celeborn is her husband, which we see in Lord of the Rings trilogy. So I don't think that's going to be the case. If they get back to Linden, maybe we're going to be guess who's here, kind of thing. But I think we'll see Celeborn. He's been trapped somewhere. Something's going on with Celeborn, which maybe they're writing into, or maybe there's something that they found in Tolkien Shore that they're pulling on. Who knows? So Valandil's trapped. Antimo is dead. He's
sad.
Dead.
The kid who was like, "I've seen enough of war. I'm gonna stay and just relax." And he was just like a simple guy.
Antamo, Matt. Antamo.
Antamo. A name we've definitely said for the first time.
On Dasher.
Of course.
Yeah.
What a stupid name. I hope it's Antimo, because Antamo.
I think it's Antamo. It's a hard edge.
I think it's Montana.
If you're in Philly, you'd probably say Animo. You like Animo? Animo's pretty good.
Oh, Animo's so good.
My friend Animo, his dad's got a boat.
I saw Animo on a clip at where you make the order at Wawa, and it made me want to watch this show. is so good. So good. So we have the Queen. It was predicted by her father, Tar Palantir, that if she goes there, all she will see is darkness. And what do you know?
She got it.
She got two double darked. She got Mount Doom and then Mount Doom fires in her eye.
Blind.
What I'm not sure of right now is because she had said when they're going through, she's like, "Hey, let me know when we're out of this smoke, would you guys?" And they're like, about that.
I guess.
They could not have been more stunned. That was like,
yeah, you can tell from
Elendil was more
up their
shocked
eyes.
at that than he was talking about Isildur. He was, yeah.
Yeah.
They were like, we can't proceed.
So she's
go.
blind, right?
It's just blind.
Because
Yeah.
she had said like all I see is gray, and I thought like, okay, maybe her just rods and cones are messed up, and she's just seeing in grayscale.
Maybe her eyes will come back. Maybe they won't. But I just want to say a blindfold is so much cooler than sunglasses. And if I were blind, I would want to wear a blindfold.
Yeah.
Cool choice.
Feels like you're
Super cool choice.
It feels like you're really cool. Like you've got powers.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how Daredevil started. Had that
Yeah.
And
blindfold.
that
All right.
Mortal Kombat character.
What was that?
Just me half-assing another reference to a Mortal Kombat character.
Do we think that blindness happened at like remember at the beginning of the episode, her and Isildur are like, or she's trapped and Isildur saves her or something like that? I couldn't
Yeah,
really
she
tell
gets
what
that
was going
fire
on.
in the eyes.
That's what happened?
She gets
Okay.
ash in the eye. Yeah.
And
Yeah, the
Isildur
old ash in the eye.
saved her or some other people or something. What was going on with that?
Yeah, there were people trapped, and they went in to help people, and then she got out. Ash got the old ash in the eye, and Isildur got trapped. And now Beric, his horse, who Isildur or Elendil sees, because we can always tell. It's a great idea. Mark that horse. Injure it somehow so we know.
Totally agree.
Who's the horse? And Beric is there, and he's like, "Oh, Isildur." We had so many fake outs throughout this episode. Half of them were Bronwyn, which we didn't even
Fucking don't even care about her. Stop trying to make me care about her.
Third time's a charm, y'all. Next time she gets hurt, she's got to die.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't care less about Bronwyn. So
So Beric is kind of acting up. Elendil goes over and is like, "Hey, calm down. Remember that trick that I did last week? I'm going to do that now, but you're not listening. So what's up?" And then Beric, he's just like, "All right, whatever." He sets him free. So I would assume that Beric is now on his way to
get Isildur. He's going
to pull a Brago.
It's giving Aragorn and what's his face Brago vibes, just
100%.
like Galadriel and Theo were giving Hobbit under the tree stump with the ring wraiths vibes. Remember when they were like sniffing over?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
world's worst ring wraith.
There were a lot of moments in this where I was like, "That's straight from Lord of the Rings."
Yeah, and it's referencing one of our biggest gripes of
About the films.
Aragorn being fake dead.
Yeah.
But also, this made me so upset because Numenorians are apparently a ship people, and they're also a horse people, right? Like they're really good at talking and communicating with horses. I feel like at this point in Numenorian history, there would have been stories about horses saving fallen soldiers, right? And horses knowing where their masters are and being close in a culture that values horses to the degree that they do. And I just feel like we know what's up. One of these Numenorians should be like, let him go. Maybe there's hope there. And like, just, like, you know.
I need a horse. I need to follow that horse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's going to my possibly alive son.
Yeah. And why would Elendil so quickly accept that his son is dead without searching the area?
Yeah.
Well, this sounds like a really great point, and probably one that's been discussed in another podcast or about another episode or about another movie. So I agree with you, Stacey.
It's fine. We're just talking inside jokes on a podcast. It's fine.
It's fine.
Okay. All right. So other things happening within this is just kind of skipping to the end of the Numenor stuff there. We have the queen is blindfolded. She's up on the hill meditating or something. And Galadriel comes up and we have that line, "No one kneels in Numenor. You are not in Numenor, and you're not in Numenor, and you're not in Numenor, and you're not in Numenor. And it's all because of me. It's all because of me. I did this." And she says, "Well, probably true, but guess what? We're coming back, baby. We will be back. And Elendil's like, fuck this. Fuck
All
this.
right.
He's
Yeah.
Can we
facing
take
out there.
Yeah. Can we take a moment to just all acknowledge that Elendil is an ugly crier? He is an ugly crier. And okay, and I watched a what's it called? A breakdown of like how that moment you could say mirrored Theoden grieving his son. But one was shot really, really well, and one was shot really, really stupid. On top of the fact that Elendil is such a goofy crier.
Remember the line where he says, "Where is my son?" That's like exactly Theoden's line. You're right.
Yeah. I think that I brought this up on last week, that we're going to find connections wherever the hell we want to find connections. I think there are just some things that I, as a, movie viewer, whatever, would like to give them the credit that they're just doing something on their own and we're finding some connections. I think there's definitely the connection of the, Stacey, you just mentioned it. Oh, with the Galadriel and Theo, with the ring wraith. I think that's definitely like a nod to the thing. And last week with her saying faster or whatever in Elvish to the horse. But I think there's just going to be some. Hey,
I think I disagree. I think they're throwing in Easter eggs. I think they are. I think some of it isn't. I think "Where is my son?" I think that's intentional.
Okay.
I do.
I'm fine. Either way, if it is intentional.
They're like, the guys writing this are like big nerds. And that's like what nerds do.
And don't get me wrong. It's like, I think it's a little cheap,
kindly,
but it doesn't like bother me that much. And even in this specific circumstance, like somewhat relating it to Theoden, I'm more just focused on the fact that Elendil is a weird crier and it totally takes me out of that moment. And we know that Isildur's alive. So like away with that.
Yeah.
Kelly,
I'm not annoyed either.
I found his crying.
Is this when you cried?
I think most like a real cry, a true cry, like my son is dead cry. It's not a good looking cry.
Okay. I agree. This one was funny.
He's like one of the few characters I love. And so I just don't have any problems with how he cries.
He looked like this.
Did they show him cry in the prologue of the Lord of the Rings after he gets killed?
Yeah.
They show him cry so we can see if it's a character trait that just picks back and forth.
Yeah.
Make a real solid call. So he's looking out and she's like, Elendil.
Earth to Elendil.
Hey, Elendil, you still there? I can't
see. It's rude not to answer. He is surrounded by this like Lilith Fair moment. It's like all these three women on top of a rock, and they're like, "Let's go to war." And he's like, "My son's dead."
Galadriel's like, "He's nodding, Regent."
Yeah, I kind of wish Elendil was like. I think it's annoying because we know Isildur is not dead. And Elendil, this character that I've enjoyed, is now like being I don't know. I guess he's not making the wrong decision or whatever, but like it's drama that we know is based on like a false premise because we know his son to be alive. So it's like it just not super fulfilling to watch.
It'd be hilarious if they really did kill off Isildur in the show.
Oh, I would give the show so much props.
I'm
such a strong move.
I'm still fine with them doing that as part of the storyline because again, we're seeing the journey. Just because we know how it ends. For me, at least, I want to see probably going to happen like 8 more times throughout the series. Is that there are going to be moments where they want you to think that he's dead. If you watch Better Call Saul, there are moments throughout that where you weren't sure which characters that appear in Breaking Bad were quote unquote going to make it or be in the next episode or whatever.
I think if you're going to have a Mount Doom eruption, you need to have a bigger death than a very, very minor character who's a friend of Isildur and the Queen's vision. Like you need to kill off a major character. This would have been an excellent moment to kill off Bronwyn.
Yeah.
She has served her purpose in terms of rallying the troops at the Watchtower. I don't know what Arondir is going to do. You could have killed off either of them or Theo, but I have a feeling Theo is going to pop up as someone later.
Yeah, you can't have your first major death be a kid, and I don't even like kids in movies and TV, but even I know that. Matt's like, nah, kill him.
Wow.
They killed that one kid
He's-
off screen.
That's true. That's true.
They did.
Don't like Theo. I just think I don't know what it is, but I think it may be the performance. I don't know that I'm like this performance
Mother.
like Theo.
love my mom.
I think maybe there could be a world where I like Theo, but this guy's not giving it for me, so I don't know.
Mother.
I hate that Galadriel gave him his sword, her sword. I'm
Yeah.
like, what? No,
I hated that.
Hate
Keep your
it.
sword,
Shown-
Galadriel.
That he can't be trusted with weapon.
Stop
Yeah.
giving this guy weapon. Knock it off. this little psycho kid gets no more weapons.
Be
Well,
so
guys,
funny
he didn't
if
have a weapon. He had a key.
It would be so funny if she gave him her sword
It's
and then she
blood.
rides away and he unsheathes it and it's like that same hatchet that from before.
Wow. Elven magic. All right. Plowing through here.
Halbrand
So
hurt.
they are sailing away, and Arondir and Galadriel are still there looking off. And Bronwyn is taking them to Pelargir, which in my reading / watching is on the edge of Gondor. It's like a port city, if I'm not mistaken. So we're kind of building into these locations, although I don't believe that it's called Gondor at this time, because I think Isildur is one of the one of the founders of Gondor. We have Galadriel going to Lindon to tell the news, basically say, I told you so, to everybody. And now Halbrand is alive, and he's going too, because he needs elvish medicine, which I believe could be another Easter eggy kind of thing for the other ones. But also I can believe that they've said this from time to time in this world.
Yeah.
How was he
They're
looked
just keeping the thing.
terrible. He was like on a deathbed.
He looked awful.
So bad. And then he's riding a horse in the next shot.
Which
I
is
was
like
shocked.
so hard.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
It's like number one
These
in
horses,
wound
though,
care.
it's a fantasy show. These horses are really easy to ride.
They just like take off their galloping. I'm
Like a
his-
Cadillac.
His organs are like
Smooth sailing.
spilling out of him. What are we doing here?
Yeah, the internet is back on Halbrand being Sauron. And that is because he is now headed to Lindon, where these rings are being forged. And Sauron had another name and helped Celebrimbor with the forging of the 9 rings. So there's pieces that are kind of coming together once again to kind of point to him being Sauron. I'm still not sold on that. I still think that there's the possibility that the stranger is that person, and these people are looking for him to be like, remind him of who he is. Because I think I said very early on that just like when Gandalf came back, it took him a while, although a lot of it happened off screen, him to remember who he was and what they called me. Oh yeah, that's what they called me.
Gandalf the
kinds of thing.
Grey.
Yeah. Probably not. I just want to. I hope we get some sort of answer in the next episode.
That's kind of I hadn't thought of that angle of those people being out to remind Sauron of who he was, and there's an opportunity for the stranger who's Sauron to be good. He could have been Gandalf, and
Yeah.
So I don't hate that. This whole Halbrand thing, I don't care about though. So.
I think Halbrand is probably going to be Sauron based on everything that people are saying, you guys specifically, and how into that idea everyone seems it to be. I just hate it.
But where they pointed, where Stranger's heading, is that Lindon? Do we know? We don't know exactly where he's heading.
I don't know where the Harfoots are in relation to the Southlands.
Kind of close because the volcano went off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Landed. So I mean, not super close, but close enough that we're pointed in the distance. It's like some mountains, maybe. I don't know. Could be Lindon. I don't know. Hope we get some answers next episode. Hope it's a good finale. I would love to be stoked at the end of the next episode. I would love to be excited about it.
He knocks on the door and then walks into Elrond's place, and they're like, Mithrandir, hey, we've been waiting. We've been waiting for you. Yeah. that'll settle the matter for me, I think, and only that. If they call him Mithrandir. Yeah. The other goofy things that that happened are Halbrand going to Linden for elvish medicine, but strength to the king, strength to the king, strength to the south.
It's like you just met him.
Yeah.
You don't even know if he's a good king. He's just a king that he
Immediately got cut down.
Yeah.
Immediately. He's the only injured person there.
Like these people are desperate for any sort of hope, I guess. You know, they just went through a non-pyroclastic flow volcanic eruption.
Matt, don't.
All of their they need some hope. Why not cheer for a king? Could be goddamn Theo. They
cheer to the Southlands. Oh, but is it called the Southlands?
All right,
I don't
let's
know.
just get to Orc Daddy so we can spend some time.
Here we go. Now I'm going to see my time to Kelly on this.
So we go back to where the orcs are, and they are all out. It's daytime, and thanks to Mount Doom erupting, it is blocking out the sun, so they are able to get around. And he even says, like, "Hey, everybody, take off your tops, take off your bottoms, and you can now run free."
This dragon skin I put on you in the last episode.
Yeah, and they start screaming, "Lord of the Southlands" or "Long live the Southlands," something like that. And he's like,
Let's pan to the upper left part of the screen here.
That land is no more. That name is dead. All right, then. What shall we call it? And we do that pan, and it says Southlands, and then it's like
it's literally like someone's at the delete button. Delete.
O-R-D-O-R, Mordor.
That is one that I despised that move. That is one of the most egregious choices I've ever seen. And I've seen some terrible things.
Kelly, we've had many different disagreements. You
and I fight constantly
on this podcast. And
you love this show.
You will find no fight here. It was stupid.
It was the stupidest thing.
I literally, when the title came up of Southlands, I was like, holy shit, are they going to do a straight through and then hand right under Mordor?
Just don't have any words. Just let it end with what should we call it then? Pan up to Mount Doom and end the episode. It was so easy to not put words on the screen.
Here's the better idea. Easy. Don't write that into your shit. It's the dumbest shit to write into shit. All I can say is shit. The shittiest fucking moment I've ever seen. Like Solo. This is like why everybody hated Solo, because it's just filled with moments of what's your last name? I don't have a last name. Han Solo. That's how you figured it. Like, it's so dumb. Don't put these moments into scripts. No one needs it. It's not good.
A movie that is all of that stuff and more is Bohemian Rhapsody. Is all of that. What shall we call it, boss? And then it's
that bottom girls.
my another thing that bothers me, aside from just how freaking tasteless that choice is the show in a lot of ways demands a lot from its audience. It's like, oh, if you want to get something out of this show is based on source material. It's like you have to, they definitely cater to a demographic that knows a lot about Tolkien. So to assume that someone with like a quarter of a brain wouldn't connect those dots is like insulting. And I don't even throw that around freely. Like that to me is like, who is that for? Like why, who was that choice for? Or what was that choice for?
It was such a unnecessary handhold.
Yeah.
In the next episode, like what shall we call it? End it, like Stacey said. And then in the next episode, introduce Mordor. Introduce it through the map and then introduce it through the dialogue.
That would have been cool to see it on a map, like how they would introduce stuff in Game of Thrones, and all of a sudden it would be like, oh, that's this place. Like here, we're going here in this episode.
If they did that on the map and it said Southlands and then like burned and then revealed Mordor, I would have much preferred that over what they did here. Or actually, I would have preferred, what shall we call it, boss? I don't know. I'll think of something.
Yeah.
Give me a
Land.
minute.
That was off the top of my head. I'll come back to that.
Fiery
if you
land.
have to even acknowledge it, truly the most I want is for like one of the Numenorian soldiers to be like, the orcs aren't calling it Southlands anymore. They call it Mordor now. And like it's a throwaway line in a conversation about something completely different.
And then they're like, Mordor? No, Mordor. Mordor? No.
The R's are very hard.
Mordor. Okay, you say it. Mordor. Okay. Mordor.
How am I?
No, it's
saying
wrong.
it?
It's wrong. It's wrong.
I'm not right.
That's
right.
what I'm
It's
saying.
wrong.
I'm
It's your
saying
accent. You
Mordor.
just can't do it. Yeah,
Mordor.
I mean, we know that maps are very misused in this series thus far.
And
I would have been totally
inconsistently.
inconsistent. Yeah, underused.
So
I would have been.
inconsistent.
I would have been fine with some map usage, but yeah, just the like, it was painful. I was like,
Was this the worst thing you've ever seen?
Yes, this was the worst thing. This was the worst move in the show, and Lord knows there's been a bundle. As Mike put it, there's been a Mount Doom amount. There's been a bundle, Mount Doom amount of things you've swept under the rug about this show. Yeah, this is a big one to sweep under the rug. It was so stupid.
I totally agree, and it was like, as Kelly said, it was like extra stupid because of how many times we've had to make connections ourselves, and this is what they chose to
spoon feed to the audience.
And also because they didn't even need to rewrite anything. They didn't need to reshoot anything. All they needed to do was take the words off the screen.
They just needed to do less.
Yeah.
Honestly, if they keep making big dumb
sometimes less
like
is
this,
Mordor. Sorry.
it's worth it.
Yeah.
All I was gonna say is if they keep making big dumb decisions like this, I might end up coming around to the show more, being more entertained by
like really lean into this choice.
Dumb, huge, stupid swings may be more entertaining to watch than the middle road that's been taken for most of this series.
It's like Waldreg turning the key and letting loose a fart. Like, what are you doing? What is happening?
Well, I ate some bad beans.
Oh, Father.
I have one
what should
question.
we call it?
One question before we get to who won the week, who lost the week, and that is, what is going to happen? What's going to happen in this finale?
No flippin' clue, Mike. I have not the slightest idea, aside from maybe a Balrog, which would annoy me because it's like you just sneak in a Balrog and then just throw that in the finale. I don't know. I think that's clunky, especially when there's so much
is awake. We have to see it. It woke up.
Was it sleeping?
Well, remember that line in Lord of the Rings? It's like, what they awoke.
Uh-huh.
Galadriel says that herself.
Yeah,
you guys.
Could be metaphorical. Could also.
It was 100% hibernating.
I'm sure the information exists whether a Balrog really sleeps.
I think that all the plot lines maybe going to come together here. Where I think that maybe the stranger is in fact heading towards Linden and Halbrand, and we're all going to meet in Linden. From there, I have no idea. And Mordor, I guess Sauron maybe gets the ring and goes back to Southlands, but I don't know. Then what's going to happen?
The Sauron himself makes the ring.
Right.
We have to see.
Yeah. Well, actually, he forges his own in secret.
In secret.
Right.
Is Celebrimbor really making all these other? I thought Celebrimbor's whole thing was like he wanted the dwarves to help him make a smith so that he could make rings, and we don't ever see the dwarves do that. So are the rings made?
Make any more of these, or am I going to make all of them?
We must have a longer way to go before the rings get made.
Yeah, I don't think the rings have even been made yet.
No.
Yeah, for sure. We haven't even gotten to the forge. You're right. I don't know what's going to happen.
In the Silmarillion, I think it's in the Silmarillion, they do, like I mentioned, they talk about Celebrimbor making the rings with some other elf. I can't remember. It begins with an A, not Arondir. But they make them together. And of course, that one other one is Sauron, who forges that one ring in secret. But yeah, I don't think we're going to get Rings of Power within this first season of Rings of Power. I think we're lucky if we get Sauron at this point.
We're not going to get Sauron.
I think we're going to get Sauron.
But the like screen thing on Amazon Prime is a big image of a silhouetted Sauron. So I'm like, oh, I guess we are going to get
The
Sauron.
reason I think we're going to get Sauron is because we cannot have another freaking season of Galadriel looking for Sauron.
Mm,
Like, eventually, we have to find him because that's not the show. Is looking for him. The show has
Sure.
to be dealing with him. We got to find him soon, or
Waiting
we're going
for
to get so
Sauron.
bored. Yeah, exactly.
It's finding Sauron.
Just
Sauron
keep
stir.
swimming.
Yeah. All right. So let's go to who lost the week. Matt.
Dang it. Who lost this week? Theo, because he is the worst. And I don't
you just hate him. That's the only
It's
reason.
just because
Look, I was put on the spot. There's probably better, but when in doubt, go for Theo from a loser because
it's fine.
I ain't liked him yet.
You went first. If the other one isn't taken, you can feel free to hit us in the back end there.
It's not like I don't know that this segment's coming. Could have thought ahead sooner. So,
I'm going to say Durin because he just seems like he's having a really tough time. And I have a feeling this fight with his dad is going to be like one of their last fights. You know, it's going to be like how he leaves things with his dad. And he's an emotional guy. This is going to be tough.
That's
Kelly.
Very sad.
my loser is the person or people whose decision it was to delete the Southlands and write Mordor.
That's fair. That's fair.
They're my loser. I'm calling them a loser despite your clarification.
No, you can. For me, I guess I'm going to go with Antimo for being the only person that died in the entire
Guantanamo.
Guantanamo Bay. For being the only person that died in the non-pyroclastic flow. But there's also another side loser, Burning Horse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was sad.
Burning Human. They're like, what else can we light on fire on this set? Yeah. And who won the week for you, Kelly? Who's your winner?
Orc Daddy, Adar. Huge.
Adar.
He claimed these lands for
Mhm.
his orc babies.
Yeah. And renamed them.
And renamed it.
Mordor.
Yeah. Orc Daddy all the way.
Stacy.
I don't know. This was like I said, this was a tough episode. There was just a lot of sadness in it. I would say my winner, just for their attitude, was Nori's dad, who gave that rousing speech and kind of like picked everyone's spirits up. Like, I think those harfoots were like down and out. And I think he was like, what are we doing, guys? We're harfoots. I think he changed the game for them, honestly.
Yeah. Matt.
Gotta go with the baby Durin, my boy, the baby Durin, who
Durin the Four.
stood up for his friend, stood up for what he believed in, stood up to his dickhead of a father, and to his kingdom and people's peril. But he made the right decision in his heart, and that's all you can expect from somebody. He went
So the elves can take a mithril bath.
Yeah.
Still don't understand what it is, but maybe we'll find out. My winner is, I should have prepared a little bit more too. I'm going to go with, I think, Galadriel, because she survived and that thing was coming right at her. Like she was in bullseye. She was basically wearing a big bullseye on her forehead, and this thing came right at her, and she just came up a little dusty. She got Theo, got him to safety. She got the word of the queen that Numenor will return. Halbrand is still alive and kicking. So
she's going on a little mini solo trip with him. So
A little date.
little
road
He
trip.
needs elven medicine, and you're saying
Wink, wink.
elven love medicine.
like,
Yeah.
aren't you an elf, Galadriel?
Yeah. That's
What are you
one
gonna give
other
up?
quick thing that I don't like about this. I want to see more magic. I want to see more magic throughout this show. The only one that's really giving it to us is a stranger, doing some cool stuff throughout. Even more magic than like that. That turns out being Gandalf. Where is this shit in Lord of the Rings? Not that he can use the regrowth of trees to really fight the
Well, who else is able to
By
do
evil.
magic in this show?
Galadriel, Elrond.
They can do magic.
They have some elven tricks. Yeah. And Galadriel, I mean, she's got skills, or maybe she doesn't have them at this point.
Elven tricks, like juggling,
Yeah.
close-up magic.
Yeah, sleight of hand. Yeah. You can take your nose.
Sleight of hand.
I just want to see a little more magic.
Oh, is that a quarter behind your ear? Oh, look at that. Dirty
All right.
ears.
That'll do it for season 1, episode 8, titled The Eye. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you all for listening. Bye.
Bye.